Hello, good people of YouTube. First off, thank you guys so much for getting us to 7,000 subscribers. I was recording yesterday's video. I know I said we were like 40 or 50 away from 7,000, but late last night, last night as of me recording this, we hit 7,000 subscribers. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys want to see for 7,000 subs. This has been an amazing time for the channel, and what a way to bring in the new year with hitting 7K subscribers. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Alright, going on to today's video. So, today I'm bringing you guys my personal top 5 favorite premiums of 2019. So this is my personal favorite premium ships that were released in 2019. So the qualifications for being on this list is, one, I obviously have to own it. If I don't own a ship, well, I mean, I can't really put it on my personal favorite premiums list for 2019, so there's that. And again, it's all my opinion 100%. So, me being a battleship man, you guys should know that this list is mostly going to be battleships. There are a couple of ships in here that aren't battleships, but just wanted to put that out there first. Alright, let's go ahead and get on into the list. So coming in at number 5, we have the Tier 8 Premium German aircraft carrier Graf Zeppelin. Now, I know Graf Zeppelin was originally released in 2018, but this Graf Zeppelin, which is quite frankly completely different from the old Graf Zeppelin, being the old Graf Zeppelin was, well, very, very good. This Graf Zeppelin, not so much. A whole lot got changed between the pre-CV rework and the post-CV rework Graf Zeppelin, and even in like the game itself, if you guys don't know, there's an old and new version for each carrier. So technically this ship was released in 2019 because the old Graf Zeppelin, which is labeled as old in the not on the game files anymore because it's gone, but on like the stat tracking websites and stuff, it's technically two different ships. But this ship in and of itself, it's, even though it's the same model and all that stuff, it's pretty much a new ship. But anyway, the Graf Zeppelin is not a very good carrier. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna try and make it seem like one, but this is just a fun ship for me. It's kind of a guilty pleasure ship, because the secondaries on this thing are insanely good. She has just this insane secondary battery. I believe the hull gun's like 150 millimeter cannons, and then that you can get them out to 9.4 kilometers, which isn't too long by German standards. It's almost a 10, but if you look at the Tirpitz and the Bismarck, the other Tier 8 German ships with very good secondaries, they can get theirs out to around 11. So, it has very good range for a carrier with its secondaries. The secondaries reload quite fast, and they are insanely accurate. It looks like you have manual fire for secondaries equipped, even though you don't, and I can imagine with having manual fire for secondaries equipped, you would probably never miss a shot in this ship with your secondaries. But these secondaries are so good, you can take on battleships with these things. Now, can you take on a Kurfürst and an FDG in a one-on-one fight? No. But you can take on some Tier 8 battleships that have been whittled down from being in combat. If they're around half health, you have a pretty good chance of dealing with them with the secondaries and the planes combined. And it's just so ridiculous. It's fun. Every time the Graf Zeppelin kills something with its secondaries, normally someone says something in chat, they laugh, or they just gawk in awe at the secondary firepower of the Graf Zeppelin. Now, the planes, because this is a carrier, so I gotta talk about the planes. The planes were actually quite good when the Graf Zeppelin was re-released into this new form. But then, Wargaming did a couple of things. One, all planes globally got a 20-knot nerf to them, which hurt Graf Zeppelin's planes, because the whole thing with Graf Zeppelin planes were they were stupid fast, but they had very, very little health for their tier. And they got a speed nerf, but they didn't get any compensation as far as health goes. So Graf Zeppelin planes are some of the easiest planes to shoot down in pretty much any Tier 8 ship. Even Tirpitz can easily swat down hordes of Graf Zeppelin planes. And then they changed the way the dive bombers dove. if you remember, or just go watch my Graf Zeppelin video from way back, the dive bombers would literally dive just straight down, and the reticle was a perfect circle. So you would fly over target, hit the dive straight down, drop your bombs, and then fly away like dive bombers. But then they changed it to where they dive at this really steep angle, and then they pull up at the last second to where you are coming in at this weird angle to where your AP bombs are pretty much guaranteed to bounce most of the time. And it's very weird and strange. I don't know why they did that. But anyway, this ship is still a guilty pleasure because it's just a bunch of dumb fun when you play it and when you can get the secondaries in the fight. It's dumb fun. I like it. It's not that great of a carrier, though. I wouldn't recommend you buy it, but this is my favorite premiums list for 2019, so that's one of my favorite premiums. Alright, moving on to number 4. We have the Tier 8 Soviet premium battleship, Lenin. So Lenin is basically a Nelson on vodka. Lenin has 9 16-inch guns, and it's in that Nelson style of them all being for the superstructure. So you have the advantages of those cannons being up there. On top of that, the number 2 turret can 360 degrees. It can rotate all the way around without having to take the long way around like the Nelson's number 2 turret or like the Izumo's number 2 turret. It's the only ship with this style of gun setup that can do that, and of course it's Russian. Go figure. And plus the number 3 turret is facing in the correct direction, unlike the Izumo's number 3 turret, so it has all of that going for it too. It's really good. On top of that, 16-inch guns with Soviet AP and Soviet shell ballistics. This ship packs one heck of a punch. It's also pretty quick too. I was surprised when I played it how quick the ship was compared to the Nelson and the Izumo, and they're kind of slow-ish for their tiers. But Lenin's quite quick and fairly maneuverable. It's not, it's not a drifting boat by any stretch of the imagination. But for our Tier 8 battleships, it can get up there. Now, the downside to this is, of course, usual Soviet characteristics for Tier 8. It doesn't have that great of AA. And I know the, oh lord, what's the Tier 8? The, I can't think of the name of the Tier 8 Soviet battleship right now. I don't know why I can't. Oh, Vladivostok. Vladivostok actually has some pretty okay AA, but Lenin doesn't. And it's fairly easy to citadel Lenin because it sits up so high out of the water and has a very high citadel. So, again, just like the Nelson, it's very easy to citadel. So you have that going against you. And the back of it does make it look like a whaling ship. Looks like it has a ramp that you can pull the whales up on and then they get cut up on deck. But I do think that's meant to be recovering the planes somehow. I don't know. But it's a very interesting looking ship. And it does have the Soviet gimmick to where the closer you are to the target, the more accurate the shells are. So even when you're fighting destroyers, you don't necessarily have to load HE in this ship, because if they're within like 10-ish kilometers, there's about 80% of your shells are actually going to hit them if you aim right, because those shells are that accurate at that range. So yeah, so it's a very good ship, very quick ship, very accurate ship within 15-ish kilometers. Again, the closer you get, the more accurate it will be. So it's a fun ship and well worth the money in my opinion. Alright, moving on to number 3. We have the Tier 9 Premium American Cruiser, Alaska. Yes, Alaska, the cruiser that was long awaited throughout 2018, was finally released in early 2019. So 9 305mm guns that you get American AP and American AP pin angles. Very accurate 305mm guns, unlike the Puerto Rico. And she's fairly quick. She's not all that tanky, as I had to quickly learn, because she feels basically like a shrunken down Iowa that has a way more accurate guns than the Iowa herself. You also get radar, and you can equip the defensive fire consumable on her as well. So again, a very American cruiser, and she's just a ton of fun. And if you buy her, if you're thinking about buying her, I would highly recommend her to you. She's a fantastic cruiser, very quick, very maneuverable. You can dance your way out of most situations. And again, just fantastic guns, fantastic cruiser to play much, much better than the Puerto Rico. If you're thinking about grinding the Puerto Rico, or I mean, if you're thinking about grinding the Puerto Rico, you're probably already, I would be assuming, roughly halfway through the grind about now, depending upon how much you've been playing. But the Alaska is just the much, much, much better ship. It does everything the Puerto Rico does, but better. The Puerto Rico only has one more turret than the Alaska, but it doesn't get cruiser dispersion, it gets Montana dispersion. Which Montana dispersion is okay if you have 16-inch guns, but when you have 305mm guns and you're a cruiser, it's not that great. So just get the Alaska if you're thinking get the Puerto Rico, because it's just the much, much better ship all in all together. So that's the Alaska. Moving on to number 2. We have the Tier 9 Premium American Battleship, Georgia. The Georgia, one of the funnest battleships I've played in a very, very long time. So the Georgia is quite interesting. It's a proto-Iowa design. Instead of having 16-inch guns, well, instead of having 9 16-inch guns, you instead get 6 18-inch guns, 457mm, where you don't get 460. That's just for the Yami. And on top of that, she has Massachusetts level of secondaries. You can get them out to about 11.3 kilometers. And they're American secondaries, which means they're very accurate, but they don't have all that great pinning power. They're great for starting fires, though. They will start many a fire, and that's usually how they get their damage done versus larger ships like cruisers and battleships. But against destroyers, they'll tear the destroyers up all day because they're so accurate. And on top of that, the ship can go 40 knots with the engine boost activated. You heard that right. This is the battleship that can do 40 knots. I mean, it's not exactly 40. It's like 39.7, but I mean, good God, that's close enough. So this is a battleship that can legitimately run down destroyers it can meet. Think about that. As the saying goes, the destroyers are fast, but Georgia's faster. So with those amazing secondaries and that speed, this thing can slaughter destroyers. On top of that, the 457mm guns, they're not the best at fighting destroyers, but if you load HE in them, I mean, an 18-inch HE shell is going to ruin a destroyer's day. Even if you're just using AP, the shell's so big, and good God, it hurts. I know, I've been on the receiving end of it, and it's a fantastic ship. It also has great AA because it's an American battleship, and naturally I would recommend a secondary build on this thing. Because its guns, yeah, its main guns are nice and all, but they're not that accurate. Well, they actually were pretty accurate when the ship was released, but then they dialed it back for balancing purposes. So, yeah, I mean, secondaries are funner anyway, in my opinion, when playing the Georgia, because it's always fun to rush some destroyers and melt them with your secondaries. Plus, the ship's so fast, it's so maneuverable, it's fairly easy to dodge torpedoes in this thing. Now, the downside is that this thing is friggin' squishy. It feels squishier than an Iowa for sure, and it does get a very nice heel like the Massachusetts gets, to where it cools down really fast to kind of compensate it for that. But if you get too many big guns shooting at you, you're going to go down pretty fast. It really feels like it takes pins from any angle despite how you angle against it. I mean, every now and then I'll notice, I get a lucky bounce here and there, but it just does feel like this ship just eats shells all day. But, I mean, it's a price to pay for a very fast, very maneuverable battleship. So, it's fairly balanced as well. Ton of fun. I recommend you get it. Finally, number 1. The Tier 10 American battleship, Ohio. Now, Ohio is technically a reward ship, but, I mean, it's pretty much a premium. It's just a different name, and you get it slightly different from a normal premium ship. For those of you that don't know, Ohio is one of the ships you can get through the Research Bureau. That's where you have to regrind lines and earn research points, and then you cash those research points in on ships and I think some commanders and some flags and free XP as well. But the Ohio is a fun ship. It's fun. And all it is a Montana with the 457mm guns instead of the 16-inch guns. And you only get 2 guns per turret, so you're going from 12 guns down to 8 guns. But it also gets Massachusetts secondaries and the same hill that the Georgia gets. So it gets a very nice hill, very good secondaries, bigger guns, and it is a little bit slower than the Montana. But in every other aspect, it's pretty much the same thing as the Montana, which I enjoyed. The Montana. It was my first tier 10 ship, and this is just kind of a different playstyle version of Montana, because Montana is more of a mid-range fighter. The Ohio is much more of a close-range brawler, which I enjoy. Now, it's not as good as a certain other tier 10 premium ship with 457mm guns, but it's still quite fun in my opinion, and I enjoy playing her. I don't think it's worth the cost of free XPing all the way through the research bureau like I had to do to get the ship to review it, but if you just want to kind of be passively grinding it in the background, you know, maybe there's a ship line you don't really play that much, you can just reset it and just be grinding it every now and then, because unlike the Puerto Rico, there's no time limit on getting the Ohio. You just whenever you finish regrinding those lines. But it's a fun ship. It's nothing game-breaking or overpowered or anything. It's just fun in my opinion. And the guns are really good for dealing with Smolensk, because it's a big shell, but it's a very slow shell, because the American battleship AP is very slow, which isn't that great against other battleships, but against cruisers, it's quite good because you get much less overpins. In fact, I was streaming this ship for the first time, and I think one of the first things that you guys saw on stream was me just absolutely erasing a Smolensk from like 15 kilometers with the Ohio. And at that point, it became a very, very well-liked ship, for me at least. But again, a fun ship, and again, technically not a premium, but I just threw it in here because it's, again, you just get it slightly different, but it's still pretty much a premium. So guys, those are my top 5 premium ships for 2019. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are your top 5 premiums of 2019? Because I'm sure not everyone agrees with me. And let me know in the comments down below. So I hope you guys are having a great Thursday and a great start to 2020. That's going to be weird saying that from now on. But anyway guys, hope you enjoyed. And I hope to catch all of you guys in the next one.